Hey, this is the only compression tutorial you'll ever need to see. You do not need to watch the how to use compression 10-hour course. Please don't. Please save your time. It's so simple. I'm going to try to do it without even using a visual. But after that, I want to tell you why you're ruining all of your mixes with compression also. So just hold on a second. We're going to get to all of it. It's going to be very short. So if you already know how compression works and your mixes still aren't sounding good, I got you. So I'm Jakey Wakey. I make music. I'm an artist and also do some self-improvement stuff and some tutorials here on Get Songs Done. So compression, most of us probably know what it's doing. Most of us know that it's just turning the volume down. So it's turning the volume down of your audio based on a particular level. So once the audio goes up to a certain level, a threshold, if you will, then it will turn the volume down based on a ratio. I know math is hard. So if this was how loud the original audio got, and you have a ratio of 2:1, that means for every 2 dB over the threshold, it is now only 1 dB. So it's cutting it essentially in half. So that is a 2:1 ratio. And then a 4:1 ratio would be half of that half. And so your audio is being reduced in level significantly over the threshold. So it's taking those low volume things and essentially bringing them up, because most compressors have an output gain or a makeup gain. So your loud notes are now quieter and your quieter notes are louder. And that is essentially what we're using compression for. So we have threshold, we have ratio, which is how much gain reduction we're doing. And then we also have the attack time. So if you have a 30 millisecond attack time, it takes 30 milliseconds after your audio crosses this threshold to lower the volume to the ratio that you have. This allows transients to get through. So think drums, kick and snare, or attack on a bass. That little pick sound can come through. Or if you're doing a vocal, the S's and T's and P's and K's and T's and P's, all those are going to come through the longer attack time you have. Thinking about shortening that is pretty important. So usually having between a 10 and 30 millisecond attack time is good. Sometimes for things that are very transient, you want to chop the transients off. Think about using a limiter or setting the attack time lower. And then another way that compression can alter the characteristic, the sound of your recording, is that older compressors have tone built into them because they're going through analog circuits. And so they're filtering your audio a certain way and creating a new EQ curve, if you will, and then also saturation. So they're creating a certain amount of distortion because they're going through analog circuits and they're distorting it in different ways. That's why you see so many different brands of compressors. So you can download all these different VST versions of analog compressors because they all affect the audio differently. A new compressor that's on my radar that you can use to test all of this out really quickly is the Synozoics compressor. Okay, just real quick so you have a visualization. I know I did the hand movements earlier, but just so you have a full visualization of what's going on. This is the threshold. This is your audio going through. And so anything over this threshold is the part that will be affected by the compression. So this is the part that's going to be reduced by the ratio that you say. So if you do 2:1, then it's cutting it in half over that threshold, which is what we're going to do here. And then you see the actual outcome of what is happening. This is just the drum track. Any kick drum here is hitting harder and clamping down there. And then the ratio is this. And then the time is the amount of time it takes before the full ratio of gain reduction happens. And the fourth parameter that most compressors have is the release. The release is the opposite of the attack. This is the amount of time that it lets up on the amount of compression. This can give your compression some character. So if you have a drum bus and you're compressing it, then in this case, if you have a slower release time, it can kind of swell the sound up into the beat. And for shorter sounds, like individual vocal tracks, kick drum, snare drum, things like that, then you would probably want a shorter release so that the effect is only happening when those sounds are happening and not just clamping down the volume of the sound before it even starts because the release hasn't finished releasing. So in this case, you can see that it's almost musical, the amount of time that the release swells up right before the next kick hits. But you could change it and you get a little more of the drums coming through. More gradual and more in sync with the beat. If it's too long, it's just clamping everything down, just so you can hear. This is only on the drum track. I think a shorter release time sounds better so the kick drum can come through. You may want the swelling to be a little more musical with the beat. So it's all personal preference. And this particular compressor has a bunch of built-in analog components that everybody wants to sell you as the best compressor. So you can go through and actually test every version of analog compressor. Granted, it's maybe not 100% authentic, but you know, you get a vibe and you can kind of test it out and you can do it really quickly. And that's why I'm enjoying using this right now. And then also it has some other features that are a little more advanced, but really this is just about getting a sound that works for you and for your track. So we'll just listen to the track here and go through all these presets. So I kind of like that black effect sound, but I don't know, this snare might poke out too much. So, you know, you just try different ones. You just listen. Maybe it needs to do more. And to be honest, I like to do 4-to-1 or more and bring the threshold down and just listen to the sound of each version. So there's all of these different types, and these types are not to be confused with what a compressor is actually doing. This is just the EQ curve and the saturation curve applied, as well as the ratios and the way that the envelope of the audio itself. Then it's just a matter of taste. Which one of those do I like the best for the song? And then just go with that. Go with your gut. Move on. Get your song done. And there's a reason that when you're doing this, that your sounds actually sound worse, and that is you have bad recordings. If you're recording like this in a room, your microphone is recording the noise from the room, the reflections, and it's picking that up, and you're increasing those weird reflections and reverbs in your room and the mud of your mix in the room. So there's ways to get rid of this, and I'm going to show you how to do all of that in the next video about creating the perfect vocal chain for going into your DAW. So make sure you watch that up here, and if it's not there yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and we're here to help you get songs done. Also, if you need help getting songs done, there's a 7-step songwriting checklist in the description. It's completely free. And if you need more help than that and you're ready to dive into a 7-day song challenge and challenge yourself to get a song done in 7 days, that is also available after you download the checklist. And we'll see you in the next one. Okay, that is literally the shortest